I'm
Oh god.
gonna rave and rant about it.
All right, let's go.
3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome back. This is Adwicta. Take
This is
one
Merps.
of the warrior class for Boomsday card valuation. Grinning Go Lightforge Arena tier list valuation stream. Not the second take at all. There is no issue with Merps' internet. He is fully here, and he will be here for the rest of this as well.
It's gonna be great. Way to not jinx it. All right. We are talking about warriors, and with warrior, this is a card that has not always been, at the top of the meta. It's had its rough times, but it's definitely being offered some pretty decent cards for Boomsday.
Yeah, like we were just like screwing around with you guys back before. We were like, oh, look at Paladin. No, look at Rogue. They're so good. They're getting such good cards. But really, it's about the Warrior. Warriors, I think, hands down, have the best cards in this expansion. Not like the actual literal best card. Actually, yeah, the literal best card, maybe. But also just generally really insanely good cards.
Okay.
So it's going to be very, very, very interesting to play Warrior in Boomsday.
All right, so we start off with the first card. This is within the first bucket, top bucket. One of the only cards, class cards, that is actually placed there. If you remember, Hunters had Venomizer, and now Warriors have Supercollider in the first bucket. It is a 5-mana 1/3 weapon. After you attack a minion, force it to attack one of its neighbors.
Okay, and so this is what this means. This means
right.
you like hit a like there's an 8/8 on the board and a 5/5 on the board, right? And you hit the 5/5 and it's like a 5/4 now. And then the 5/4 says I'm gonna hit the 8/8 and it dies. And the 8/8 becomes an 8/3. That's what this weapon does.
It's a super betrayal.
It's a betrayal two sides. Like you betray one thing, hits the other, but the other thing hits back.
Right. So this is really, really freaking good at controlling the board. You can't go face, or you can go face with it. Please don't go face with it. But it's really good at controlling the board. It forces your opponents and boxes them into a certain playstyle, which means that it is amazing for the arena. We think that it's appropriately bucketed within the first bucket. It's right there with Gorehowl. It's there with the Spellstones, the Drakes, and we think it belongs there. It's one of the few cards that we think Blizzard bucketed highly, and it belongs in the high bucket.
Okay. Why is this card so good besides what I just said, in which effectively, I don't know what, like 5 + 5, effectively dealt 10 damage with one hit, right? In my like random example. One, this is not very random, this card. I know it seems like you don't know which neighbor it's hitting, but you can control everything if you have like a minion on the board, if you have a rush minion, or if the opponent just plays 2 minions, right? So the first charge obviously is very surprising. You get a lot of value out of it. Afterwards, you don't get as much value out of it, but you're still dealing, for the vast majority of times, more than 5 damage per hit. And that's kind of insane, because you know how good Arcanite Reapers are? They're pretty good. This can't go phase, but you're going to do it 3 times. And in addition, you're actually not taking that much face damage. I think that's one of the secret, like, good parts about this card. Like, you're always hitting the smaller card, because they fight each other anyway. They're never hitting the actual 8/8 and taking 8 damage of face damage. You're hitting whichever other card that you want the 8/8 to end up hitting. So it's not that bad for your face. And finally, there's like what 3 cards for Warrior that deal significant amounts of damage to more than one target, maybe less. This is solving a problem that Warriors have historically had, which is you put 2 medium-sized minions on the board and the Warrior's screwed. So it's kind of an insanely good card.
Yep. So this is just really good. Appropriately bucketed. You should definitely consider picking this whenever you see it. I think people will be pleasantly surprised by this card, because I saw a lot of hate towards this card, and a lot of people just being like, how can this be first bucket? That is just you know, like it's such a bad card. It doesn't belong in the first bucket.
Well, it's
We're not
such a
saying
good
it's
card. It totally belongs
it's
in the first bucket. I don't know, like, did they misread the card? Did they think it, like, only dealt, like, betrayal damage rather than double betrayal damage?
maybe. In which case, then yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be as good. But it's the double betrayal,
Yeah.
right? Like, which makes it amazing. Really, really, really freaking good.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Supercollider. It's an epic weapon. You won't see it too often, but hey, if you see it, take it. Like, in this bucket, it's one of the better cards. And it's in the top bucket. So it's just really, like, what I'm trying to say is it's one of the best cards. Like, take one of these. You may not want, like, more than one, because it does have 3 charges, but take one. You'll be happy. Or you'll misplay it somehow and, like, hit something wrong and then, like, quit the game, uninstall, and never play again. Okay. Next thing is in the second bucket. So this is how good warriors have it, right? They're gonna have cards in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth buckets, like down the row. This is DinoMatic. 5 mana, 3/4 mech. Battlecry. Deal 5 damage, randomly split among all minions except for mechs. That's all minions on the board. It cannot go face. So if there's no minions on the board except your opponent's minion, it will deal all 5 damage to your opponent's minion. And on the other hand, if you have a minion and your opponent does not have a minion, this will just kill your minion.
Right. So this is a card in which, first of all, we have it at a 118, which is fair-ish for the second bucket. If this were to go down one, it totally fine, right? Like that's kind of where the score is actually. Like it's a little bit low for the second bucket, but we won't say it's like egregiously low.
Yep.
But DinoMatic is a good card. It seems more random than it actually is, right? First of all, it's only minions, it can't hit face. And then like you know how much damage it is, you know how it's going to be split up as well. So this is very controllable in that you can do your trades first, etc. So this is just good. This is like a good card for a class that has trouble dealing these sort of like like small damage or like multiple small burst damage, right? So DinoMatic is just it's very fair. It does face some stiff competition in the second bucket, but you'll pick this sometimes just because of what it allows warriors to do.
Yeah. It gives warriors something that they are not usually that good at doing, and yeah, I mean, it's just try it out, right? Like, you'll see, because it's not like, I don't think it's very tricky when is the best time to play it, but just always be aware that you can always throw your board into your opponent's board and have this guy finish them off, no matter what the configuration is. That's, I think, all you have to like keep in mind and repeatedly think about.
Yeah. All right. Next card.
Next card. What is in the third bucket for warrior?
Third bucket, we have Security Rover. It's a 6 mana 2/5 mech. Ooh, yeesh. Whenever this minion takes damage, summon a 2/3 mech with taunt. We have this at a 101 approximately. So
it's a little over bucketed.
It's a little over bucketed, slightly, but once again, not egregious. And this thing can be annoying. It can be decently annoying, and it's not even like with this. If it gets like one-shotted, it still summons a 2/3 right mech with taunt. Which does something. So if this gets hit twice, you're already getting the value, right? But the problem is just, man, for 6 mana, you get the 2/5 out. It's just a heavy investment. And you're saying, yes, all I need is for this to get hit twice and I get value. Essentially, then you would have had a delayed Saronite Chain Gang, and then the initial 2/5 for 6 mana, which is not that bad. Right, but yeah, just because of the
I think you're not noticing the most important part about this card.
What? It's a mech?
It is a mech.
It is a mech.
And you know what happens to mechs they get magnetized and they become big and they have so much health and they get a ton of 2/3s with taunt, and then you can trade it however you want, and then you get more 2/3s with taunt, and then your opponent can't do anything with it, and you live the dream and you win the arena.
Yeah, totally. The dream every single time. And that's the problem. I think a lot of people will think that this will happen. It won't always happen.
It'll happen a decent amount of times. This is like a very high combo card where when it happens, you win the game, and it'll happen like a quarter of the time, and that's like really like most of the card's value.
Yeah. So look, it is in the third bucket. It's fine-ish. I think this would fit in the fourth bucket a little bit more, but it's okay.
All right. So that's Security Rover. So again, 3 good cards, right? Just to kick it off.
Yeah.
And here's the fourth card, also known as a card that is better than Supercollider. It is 166 points. That's right. This is better than Supercollider, which is in the first bucket, and we like Supercollider in the first bucket. So this card should be like really in the first bucket. Okay, it's 1 point better than Supercollider. It's not that much better. It is Rocket Boots, and it is only in the fourth bucket. It is 2 mana, give a minion rush, and draw a card. So, giving a minion rush means the minion has initiative. You have turned a non-initiative card into an initiative card, which means Rocket Boots itself basically has initiative. And you can play whatever minion you end up having in your hand. 2 mana is not that much. You can combine it with almost anything. You don't play it on curve or anything. It's kind of a late game card. But then you also draw cards. You don't lose card advantage at all, right? Like 1 mana draw a card is a pretty normal card. Like, it's not good. Like, I'll take a Yeti over it. But it's not that far below a Yeti. So for 1 extra mana, you get to turn one of your minions into something with initiative, into a removal. That's worth so much.
Yep. It's just good. You're always going to be able to at least cycle this, right? And the effect is very beneficial. So great card. Extreme value for the fourth bucket.
Extreme value. I think a lot of people are going to underrate this card because they don't realize how important initiative is, especially in the 12.0 meta where spells have gone to die.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we go from one of the the most under-bucketed cards to one of the most over-bucketed cards, which means you should
Blizzard?
not take this.
Why?
Definitely do not take this. It is Weapons Project, which is 2 mana. Each player equips a 2/3 weapon and gains 6 armor. Extremely bad. Weapon hate is a thing in the arena, and destroying weapons might be more valuable and constructed, which is what they might think with this. But once again, a card in which you spend mana, you spend a card, but both players get the same benefit. Not great. Like just really not good. So this, I would say this is like a never pick.
Yeah.
Like this is just a never pick. It is so bad that like if you look at the EMP operative versus this, the EMP operative like blows it away.
Way better.
And you guys know how we feel about EMP operative. So do not pick Weapons Project.
And if you're looking at it as like weapon removal, think about this. What's Acidic Swampoos giving up to have weapon removal? Right? What's
nothing.
Corrosive Sludge giving up to have weapon removal? Like
Plus one stat.
What's this giving up to have weapon removal? A card and 2 mana. Like, it's terrible.
Yes.
Yep. All right. So I'm giving Merps all the crappy cards. I'm gonna take a good one. This is best card in the game for Boomsday. I'm pretty sure. 198 points. It's Omega Assembly. Discover a mech. If you have 10 mana crystals, keep all 3 cards. So you're never going to use it to discover a mech. You're always going to wait till turn 10. You're going to play this card. You're going to get 3 mechs. This is another one of those like random mech cards, right? Where Blizzard just does not feel that random mechs do anything. But mechs synergize with mechs, and it's a lot of card advantage. Like, I don't know, Blizzard. I don't know.
This is a card you take every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time you see this in the 5th freaking bucket, you take Omega Assembly. This is way too good. All right. We've talked about that for a while now. So no more needed on Omega Assembly. Let's talk about Eternium Rover. Eternium Rover is a 1 mana 1/3 mech. Whenever this minion takes damage, gain 2 armor. The effect is like kind of whatever. It's certainly helpful. Warriors can do stuff with armor. It helps you swing your weapon maybe once or twice more as well.
Good.
But more importantly, it's a 1 mana 1/3. That's a mech. That's amazing. That's really good. Like good for putting buffs onto it. Otherwise, just a solid 1-drop as well. So this is appropriately bucketed for 5th, and it's going to be one of the better cards that you see in the 5th bucket.
Agreed. So let's go on to the 6th bucket, where we have a card that I don't know if people actually like this card, but it's kind of a weird card. 7 mana 3/8 mech. So like a super understated mech. Can't be targeted by spells or hero powers, fine. And when I say super understated, I mean like 4 stats understated. So it can't be targeted by spells or hero powers, fine, but not really selling it. And magnetic, which is not really selling it either, but you can at least see what it's trying to do, right? It's trying to make a giant mech that cannot be removed, right? It's very well statted to be a buff. +3 makes anything able to kill anything, and then +8 health is really good, and then it can't be targeted. You can still EMP it, but other than that, it's going to be really hard to remove. But it's 7 mana. You have to hit the synergy. Like, it's not good. It's only in the 6th bucket, but really I think it should be a little bit lower even. It should probably be in the 7th bucket. We'll see how it works in reality.
Yeah, this is just a little bit too optimistic, too clunky. It's not a never pick, but it's not a great pick even for the 6th bucket as well.
All right, I think that's it. That's Warrior for you. That's a lot of cards. There are a lot of playable cards in there, a lot of really good cards. Some heavily under-bucketed cards like Rocket Boots, some legitimate additions to a top-tier card like Supercollider, and a bunch of mechs to round this out, right? Warrior's supposed to be one of the mech classes along with Paladin and Hunter, and there's not a lot of magnetic cards in Warrior, but they do have the mech, right? They do have the Eternium Rover, they do have an Omega assembly. Mechs are gonna happen. They do have DinoMatic, which is a mech as well. You're gonna be in good shape as Warrior to have a lot of mechs, even though you don't have a lot of class uses for the mech. Right? You're gonna have to use your neutral magnetic cards to get value out of your.
Yep. All right.
Cool.
Time for the legendary.
Final card. Just one legendary, because the other legendary is a Death Knight, and they don't appear in the arena anymore.
Well, it's not really Death Knight, but yeah, it's a hero card. We can't call them all Death Knights.
They're all Death Knights to me.
Hero cards.
Boom
anyway.
Ship. 9 mana in the middle bucket for legendaries. It should be in the top bucket. 9 mana.
I think this card is really good.
Summon 3 random minions from your hand. Give them rush. It's not that random. I don't know how many minions you're gonna have in your hand. You could probably set it up so it is not random at all.
Yep.
And they all get rush, which again, giving rush is very good. We like giving minions rush. It gives the minions initiative. And you do lose the cards, right? So it's not very good. I mean, it has 0 card advantage, basically. But it gives you a lot of tempo. And it changes the nature of your regular Joe Schmo minions into removal, which, gets card advantage that way.
Yep. So we think it's pretty good, especially for the 2nd bucket. It can be made a little bit awkward if, you top deck it. Then it is not good if you have, nothing in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
But you can set it up so that it is super good, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it has the score that it has.
Great. Well, that's Warrior. One of the best improved classes in Boomsday, and we'll follow this up with one final segment where we talk about the classes and what they're going to do a little class tier listing, and that's going to happen right after this. Thank you guys for sticking around. It's been a long night, and we are in our we've just finished our 8th hour of streaming, and we're about to add a little more. So thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you everybody who is supporting us in this. Lightforge tier list, backend algorithm team, the our YouTube. I know Toss is very anxiously uploading these to YouTube as we speak. I'm gonna put them in podcast form afterwards. All of our mods in the chat moderating on our Twitch forums, and you know, everybody who's been supporting us. Thank you guys so much, and we'll be back for one final episode before we wrap it up for this Boomsday preview. All right.